Hi, everybody.
Hi.
Ooh, hey, ladies.
We made it.
It's just so, I don't know, are we the only podcast like just getting here?
Somebody, the person you are.
Just the getting here is like, well, I feel like we've already accomplished something. Honestly, we can go.
Michael, our podcast, we still, do we still call him producer?
Yeah.
Yes, our producer. He, our podcast dad, he said something, it was like the way he introed it was like, it's always chaotic, like at the beginning, and I was like, he means me. There's some version. Usually I'm hungry, I'm not hungry. But anyway, I'm late.
Accomplishment. It's a big deal that we just made it to sitting here at this table.
Yeah, I'm not ever one to talk about being late. I'm always late. I really am. Today I was
think
early.
about that. I don't think of you as somebody who's late. Maybe I've just never really experienced
we don't,
it.
I know. Yeah, we haven't hung out much.
Yeah.
But if we were ever like on a schedule, 100% you would notice that I'm always 15 minutes late. I always assume I have enough time to do whatever it is
That's so funny.
I don't know. Yeah.
I always assume I won't, and I just build in an extra. Like there's just always at least a 15-minute buffer usually.
That's very good of you.
And it usually always gets filled too. Like with
totally
something.
Yeah.
Especially with kids.
Yeah.
You have no idea when it's like, oh shoot, I didn't make sure she peed right before we left the house. So
like, and you never anticipate that they're gonna like not like what they're wearing, and then they're gonna go up and change like a few times, and then they don't want to put their shoes on. It's like, or they left them at the neighbors. Okay,
is it faster to deal with the meltdown or just let them do whatever they need to go do?
100% let them do the thing. For me, I don't like meltdowns. Too much time wasted.
Parker's been saying, or if I say like, what's the thing? I don't even know. Y'all do what's going on? How was your week?
Well, yeah, doing check-ins and then bio into her, or should I do bio first?
Yeah, do bio first.
Okay.
I wish we had some like really like intense trailer music.
Put it in.
Joy, that would be your job. You can do that.
Yes, do.
I'm so ready to hear this. I'm like, who am I?
Who am I? Born in Florida and raised in Alabama. She grew up in a family of 6, mostly homeschooled. 4 out of 6 of those kids found their way to music and started a band with their cousin. I would consider her a Nashville OG. And if you have lived in Nashville long enough, you might recognize her from serving you burgers at Burger Up for her 10-year stint in 12 South, or from joining bands like The Bridges that she joined at 15, singing and playing bass. During her time in the band, she moved to Nashville, where she met Peter Groenwald, who is her also very talented husband. And that is what led her to us, even though I would have a hard time knowing like the first time we actually really hung out. She got married in 2011 when she was 21. Had her first child, Amelia, at 24. These are all her mistakes that we're listing. Married at 21, first kid at 24.
She's kidding, Amelia.
Yeah.
It's a joke.
During her pregnancy, she got asked to be a part of a new project with her friend Micah Talks, and they started working together and ended up forming a group called Isaaca. She had her second girl, Goldie, in 2019 and decided to take a music and work break to stay home with her. Then we all got hurled into COVID, the COVID time warp, and since then she's dabbled in daycare work, started taking college classes towards a teaching degree, got certified as an ABA therapist. What does ABA stand for?
Applied Behavior Analysis.
Okay, cool. Juggling marriage, motherhood, school, and work, all while trying to take time for her first love, music, are all a rotating door. The girls are 5 and 10, both in school, so she's now trying to figure out what her next chapter looks like. Insanely humble, adorable, and funnier than she likes to let on. Welcome to the Momcult, Isaaca Groenwald.
Hi, thank you. You guys.
Welcome. Wow, that's a lot of stuff I didn't know.
I know, right? I don't think I knew. I knew you had a big family. I don't think I knew that you were homeschooled that much and that you grew up in Florida. Or how long were you in Florida? Like, do you remember much about that?
Kind of. I lived there until I was 10, and then moved to Alabama, and then moved to Nashville when I was 19.
Gotcha.
Yeah, so I hopped around quite a bit.
What was it like being, the first thing that popped out at me reading that was being pregnant and getting an opportunity Like, you know, when you see the test and you just start processing like, oh, okay, my life's really going to change.
Yeah.
What am I going to be forgotten? Am I going to be isolated? Like just to
Totally.
have somebody offer you some kind of opportunity like that when you think maybe that part of your life is
100%.
over, how like,
Yeah, that was a huge deal for me because we had also like just kind of broken up as a band, like with the Bridges. And so I was kind of just like, oh crap, what's
over.
next? Yeah, it's over. And like Peter was out on the road, he was doing his music
Yep.
thing. And I just felt
Thriving.
like, so like, of course I'm so happy to be pregnant, but, cause we were trying and it's what I wanted, but also that was like a godsend. It was like a lifeline to keeping that part of me, while I was pregnant and going, you know, and through her like young years too. I was also working in Isaaca, and that was really fun.
yeah.
The Bridges was your family band.
Yeah.
Yeah. And y'all did that. You said you started when you were 16, but that was it. How long was that going on? Like a long time, right?
Yeah. We probably, I mean, we're all family. So anytime I'm like, we broke up, it's like, it sounds ridiculous because we all like lived together, worked together, did like everything together. But like at some point we're like, we gotta, I don't know, just work on ourselves, go have relationships and
Find our way back
later. Yeah. But that was probably, I don't know, 9 years, something like that.
Yeah.
I think the first time I saw you was, I think I was at your wedding, but as a friend, like I think a friend brought me. I think I was a guest at your wedding, and I kind of knew, maybe I knew Peter a little bit by that time, but I don't really think I knew you at all. But I felt very cool just even getting to be at that wedding. It was at back of Rumors, right? Was the reception?
That was the reception.
Yeah.
Yeah. The wedding was out in Franklin and Amy Grant's barn.
Nice.
They drop. It was fun. And I felt like I was still kind of new to Nashville. And so like I had such a small list of people that I knew and would invite. But Peter was like,
Knew everybody.
been here forever. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So there were so many people at my wedding that I did not know. And like through the years, it's like, I was at your wedding. Like, oh, nice to meet you.
Your hair was so curly. I remember that.
It was,
right?
It used to be really curly. And then I had Amelia. And
That's what changed it?
yeah. And I cut it kind of short. Mom cut.
That was my thing. She took my thing. I was like talking about this and said,
Oh,
her hair used to be curly.
yes. It
she
used to
knew
be
that.
so curly. I've got...
That was my joke.
Well, listen, when I thought about the wedding, just for some reason that sticks out to me is your hair. I don't know why.
I know when I look at pictures, it's like a different person.
Yeah.
I look so different.
But that makes sense. It is so straight though.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, there's not.
You don't have to do anything to
I don't
it now.
have
It
to
just
do
looks.
anything. It just
wow.
it just
gave
dries
up.
like it just gave up.
She needs this energy elsewhere.
I don't love it. Like I enjoyed having curly hair.
Yeah.
But it's gone.
My sister-in-law's like is now. It was really curly like yours, but is now wavy. But not. I'm not seeing that. That's cool.
It's gone.
It's great. Well, I've always wanted to have curly hair, and I've always wanted that kind of hair. So for what it's worth.
I know grass is always greener.
Mm-hmm. Sarah, how was your week?
It's good. We're on the end of winter break, and Parker's still out of school until the 13th. I mean, he's till Friday, but then you've got the weekend.
In the snow.
And right now it's the 9th. Yeah, in the snow. So we may not even be going on the 13th, you know?
Yeah, you've got a ways to go.
Yeah. And I just got here from a play date. And what? I don't know. I don't know. We're dealing with something. It's like his frustration with me. And he's like, let's see. He's doing stuff like he's letting, I don't know how to say it, like not, whatever. I'm thinking of people listening and being like, well, that's this. And I'm like, well, I know that. I know how to do the thing, but I'm doing the thing. So I know the thing.
Like arguing with the listeners.
Yeah. I'm like, have anxiety about what you're thinking, not you. He will slam his hand on a table or when he gets frustrated, walk out of the room and sit, that's fine, take a break. But like shove a chair over or he's letting out anger in a way that's new. It's just new.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. But it's only with me. And I know consciously they are, it's because he's more comfortable or whatever. But it also feels like he is more frustrated with me. And I know that like I ask a lot of questions and I'm more like worried. And so I get in my head about that. And I'm like, so I just have some stuff to work out, I guess, internally. Cause I'm like, I'm feeling like I'm causing it, or he's picked stuff up from me. And also is it like, I'm kind of mixed up about it.
Yeah. I feel
Join
like,
the club.
yeah, I know. My oldest is similar in that when she gets upset, it often like comes out physically. And that like started around that age where I started, like he's 5, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Where you start noticing this like new side. It's like, oh,
autonomy, or like I have the power to express myself this way.
100%. That's what it is. Yeah. And it's hard not to feel like it's
personal.
You and it's personal because you probably spend the most time with him. And so to some extent, maybe it is, but like there's nothing you can do about it. Like they're just sorting through it.
Yeah.
But yeah, like we've tried to like steer it the right way. It's like, okay, you need to get your anger out. I get it. Like, they're like push the wall or go take a run
Scream in your pillow.
Scream in your pillow. And
we did that this morning.
Yeah. Sometimes it works. And sometimes they get mad that you're suggesting it because they're over you suggesting that.
Right.
Yes.
So
the only reason that he would do it this morning is that he had this play date that he's been looking forward to for weeks. And I did like the great thing of sort of hanging that over his head. I just am not, I'm not handling it as well as that's the thing. I'm just not handling it. Like, I'm like, I know better than this. And he can sense it's like, I want him to have all the feelings. I'm so glad that he feels comfortable expressing those things. And then when we get down to it, then it's that, maybe it's that. It's like that I'm feeling triggered by it. And I'm so frustrated with myself for feeling triggered by it.
Yeah, bro.
Yeah. So
that's a great segue into my check-in, which is, Wednesday, both the girls I just booked their doctor's appointments at the same time, or like one after the other.
Bravo.
So I don't have to take 2 separate trips. Although the downside is you're going to be there for like 3 hours. Ava had her like yearly well child checkup, and she's at this age now where all of a sudden, instead of the doctor asking you the questions about your children, they're just asking them directly to your kid while you're sitting there, which is already extremely disarming and uncomfortable because you have no idea what your kid's answer is going to be. And you know that whatever filter you would provide in those answers, your child is probably not going to. Now I'm just going to...
Oh, she made notes.
I'm just going to go through... Here are the questions that they ask at a well child visit.
Oh.
Do you often feel sad or down? Do you seem more irritable than usual? Do you ever feel hopeless or worthless? Have you lost interest in things you used to enjoy? Do you seem less motivated to participate in activities? Have you been having trouble sleeping? Changes in your appetite? Have you ever thought about hurting yourself or suicidal thoughts? And these are all just like drilled off one after the other. And the options are like all the time, more than half the time, sometime none at all. And Jeremy and I are in the room, and we can tell she's uncomfortable answering the questions in front of us. We are uncomfortable because our heads are immediately spinning, being like, okay, we just picked you up from ice skating with your best friend. We just had Christmas. We've been with you all Christmas break. You are yourself.
Right. There are no signs. Yeah.
Then they're at the age where the doctor gets to talk to them alone, and they ask you to leave the room. And you don't really know what they talked about unless your kid decides to tell you what they talked about. Most of that is like making sure you feel safe in your home.
Right.
I was angry at the questions. I was angry that there wasn't like a little more heads up or conversation about like what we're going to be checking on, like height, weight, and like, and then we're just going to throw in these really intense questions. And it's also it felt like an ultrasound where it's like your doctors are looking for something wrong. Mm-hmm. They're not looking for the things that are okay.
Right.
And that's what these questions are doing too. They're just trying to do a quick, let's see if there's any red flags. I'm like, can we add some questions like, do you laugh every day?
Right. We need a gauge. Like we need some reference that it's not just like,
do you enjoy your friendships? Are you like, there's no questions on the other side. And so then I'm getting like really defensive. There's the huge part of me wants to be like, you're fine. Stop answering these questions this way. And then there's the part of me that's like, no, we're doing this differently. There's space for this now. And what are my blind spots that are like, okay, clearly in her world, she's answering these honestly. So they talk alone, come back in. And the doctor is like, she had said, do you have anybody that you feel like you could talk to? And I was like, oh, my sister's a therapist. Like, I'm sure she would love, like, I can set up some time for them to hang, and Jenny can be a great resource for her to just vent about school stuff. And, she has a phone now. So it's like, okay, I'm sure there's there's a lot of contributing factors, especially in middle school. So there's a lot going on. But to us, it's always been like the average amount that would be going on with any 12-year-old girl. And it was just like, we're just trying to go in to like make sure you're like physically healthy. And like all of a sudden we're leaving with this huge weight on our shoulders. And I don't even know how to describe all of the different feelings that I was feeling, but I was, like you just said, I couldn't get out of my own feelings about it. And then that piled on the guilt more of like, you should just be concerned with her. But so much of me was like, but this isn't an issue. And then the other part being like, well, maybe it is. Right. You're not seeing it.
Like an internal
and
dialogue.
If you could step away from your own triggers for a second to like actually look at this and just make sure she's okay. And I'm also knowing like Jeremy is the more of the warrior in the family. So I'm also knowing he's got to be going through the same things that I am. And we're in the car on the way back, and I'm like crying by myself in the front seat, like trying not to let anybody see, but I'm crying because why is this happening? Like, again, still just in my own, dealing with my own feelings. Meanwhile, Jeremy turns around and he's just like, hey, we love you so much. Like he just starts like saying all this sweet stuff. And then I start crying even more because I'm also like, screw you. Like, how dare you're able to get out of your own feelings. Right. If you're going through what I'm going through, like watching him, we didn't talk, but like watching him process and being able to put all of it aside and be like, hey, are you okay? Like, we love you so much. Is there anything? Like, I was just like, I could not do this by myself. Like, I was so grateful in that moment to have somebody else be able to step in where I felt completely inadequate and wrapped up in my own stuff. If anything, this was a great way to have an open conversation that builds the foundation for further conversations when life gets even more complicated.
Right.
So it was like, fine that it instigated those talks. It just felt like there has to be a better way to do this.
You mean like for the doctor to do it?
Yeah, because you were kind of blindsided. Like,
well, and I'm like, I could answer all the time to all those questions mostly.
Right, but I have
have the tools and I have the reference and perspective of life and how things are hard. Like, she doesn't have that. And so they're just throwing out these things. It was just...
Yeah, totally. I think that... I don't know, like maybe doctors now, like just pediatric doctors, I feel like they're put in a tough spot where it's like they're being asked to follow certain rules and to do those kind of screenings. But like the reality is those screenings to somebody that age like just aren't adequate enough.
But we did say like, hey, we know that was hard. We know you were uncomfortable answering those questions in front of us, knowing what my parents are going to think when they hear me say this. And you still answered honestly, and we're super proud of you for answering those questions honestly and not answering for what you thought we would want you to say.
Right.
But that's still hard because I want to be like, Can I just answer these for you, please? You're fine. You're fine.
I promise. You're fine.
Okay. In like 30 seconds, can I say, like, that is crazy questions to ask a kid that age. Mm-hmm. But I don't think that they did that when I was little. And
right. You would have liked to have an outlet like that. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I know. That's the battle mentally I was going through was like,
this is really important for, and this is the only way some people will be able to tell.
And also, though, I don't know, maybe I would have. I mean, maybe I would have, but I don't know that I would have answered that way. So I get that. And I'm also like internalizing it and then like thinking like in the 5-year-old version, like it's, so I've got all my own stuff happening. But anyway, but I know how hard that is. I mean, I know I can feel how hard that would be. So
it just makes
empathy,
you be like,
and also I'm happy that she was able to do that and that she was able to say it. And anyway, glad you're here.
How was your week?
This is the best. It's so,
oh my goodness. Oh yeah. My week.
Follow that.
Yeah. Try to, oh my goodness. Yeah. I won't. So my week has been good.
How old is Amelia?
Honestly.
Oh my gosh.
How old is Amelia again?
Amelia is 10 and then Goldie's 5.
Yeah.
And we've been just doing the winter break. Mm-hmm. And
survival of the
fittest 100%. Poor Amelia. Like Goldie has a little buddy next door and they just like, it's open door policy. We just like, they go back and forth and it's so easy. She's good to go. And Amelia is just like so bored.
Brewing in her boredom.
100%. And just every question, it's like, so when can I have your phone? Like, when can I have, like, she just wants to do something. So keeping her busy is pretty much the hardest thing ever. But they went back to school and just feeling like, I can breathe. But yeah, that's kind of my check-in right now.
Joy.
Sarah.
Parker started using a booster seat.
Big moves.
Yeah. And his legs sit slanted down. So I put this breakfast box with his eggs and like Cheerios and stuff in it in his lap on the way to school, which is teaching him terrible habits. But I digress. It spilled on the floor. And I tried to clean it up with my at-home like handheld vacuum. And I was just like, I was never a person before we both worked at Camel Express in marketing department. I was never a person who washed my car, and I didn't understand really the value of it. Mm-hmm. But the vacuums at Camel Express are bananas.
I mean,
and
for car seat grossness.
Yeah.
And like when you take the car seat off and move it and all the stuff underneath and inside. Yeah. It's pretty incredible.
At each of the vacuum bays, we have glass cleaner infused microfiber towels that you can wipe up that stuff that is underneath the seat.
Or inside the cup holder.
Right. And in about, I don't know, in 2.5 minutes you can go through the whole wash. And then in 5 minutes, because of the power of the vacuums at any of the 5 locations in and around Nashville, you can really like clean your whole car to the level that I'm accustomed. I see some people there like really doing it.
Oh yeah. But it's like their thing.
Yeah. Yeah. And I get that. I support it. Good job. So if you, Momcult listener, would like to get your first wash at Camel Express for free, just text code MOMCULT to 22322 and we'll send you a free wash on us.
Yeah,
you can't
just,
do
just
that.
For the moms.
Don't tell anybody we said that.
They need a break. They need a break where they can find it. When you were saying Goldie, even though my check-in was already way too long, but another layer of what I was feeling was because Penny was with us too. And feeling the weight of everything with Ava and then looking at Penny and she's 4 and just so happy all the time. And all of a sudden it was like, this is the easiest, simplest thing I've ever.
Right.
Like the juxtaposition of like, I know my toddler is hard and there's so many, that's more of the world I've been immersed in the last 4 years. But compared to what I just felt about my teenager.
Yeah.
I will take that toddler problem any day of the week.
Sarah, I was going to say, and that's kind of like, it's the blessing and the curse of like having a kid that expresses it so physically is that you really do know
what they're feeling
and when they're upset. And they do have that like comfort with you. And I've started experiencing that with Amelia. So like she expresses those kinds of things all the time. And it's really hard not to
write it off.
Well, you go back and forth, right? Like, because you know what you are trying to provide for them, and you know that you have a safe home, and you know that like you love them so much. So part of you wants to write it off and just be like, you're fine. But I don't know, but everybody's in their own little world, in their own mind. And
sorry.
Yeah, no, go ahead.
No, you. Because it was about you, but go ahead. What I was going to say. Go ahead.
No. But that was one upside to having somebody that kind of shows their emotions physically. And even though it can be hard to watch and it feels really extreme, and it's so different than how I grew up. I was very like, everything was internal. Quiet. I didn't say anything when something was wrong. And I was just like, very, very quiet. So it scared me to see her
so expressive.
Yeah. And, but ultimately it helped lead us towards like finding help for her and figuring out like what she needs. And like, so it was good ultimately.
ABA therapy. Do you, are you working with kids in that? You're getting trained in that? And talk about what that is.
Yeah, ABA therapy. So applied behavior analysis is like the field, I guess, but registered behavior technician, where I got like a certification, and you work with a team of people. This is typically for children that have autism. So you're either working with them at a clinic or in a school setting or at home, but you have somebody like a higher up that kind of makes the plan for you, and then you implement the plan, which is just like kind of like looking at maladaptive behaviors and things that could potentially be harmful to them, and like trying to slowly change those behaviors. And so it's pretty awesome. I've only had one client, and I really enjoyed it, and then took a break for the holidays, and so now
she's back, baby.
I'm back, baby. I'm looking for another one.
That's really cool. I don't know that I just heard that recently, that like ABA just in general I was reading about tutoring or whatever, about handwriting, OT stuff. And then and ABA stuff came up, and that seems hard, but really cool.
Yeah. I think that it's still somewhat new, and especially because now it's covered by insurance. As long as your child does have an autism diagnosis, then it's typically covered by insurance. So there's this kind of flooded right now. Like I feel like there are a lot of people registering to be to get certified, and so I'm trying to be careful about it because I don't know if
what your bandwidth is.
Yeah, and like the quality control. Like when I stepped into that like first session, I felt like I wasn't ready. And I'm like, okay, how many other people feel like they're not ready, but now they're sitting here with a child that, has autism and very specific needs, and I didn't feel prepared. So I'm just trying to like take it slowly and figure out where I can get more training, because typically it has to be billed through insurance. And it's like this whole thing, like you have to go into it and you have to be, I don't know, I guess it's more like on the job training, but I would rather be more prepared.
Yeah.
And there's not really, I haven't found a place where I can like train where they're not worried about like, but insurance and payments and
right.
So
yeah.
Anyways, I'm still trying to figure it out.
That's exciting. I mean, overwhelming, I would imagine. But.
And would you be wanting to teach and then, or do you know, would you be wanting to teach and then like have special education like focus or something?
Right. That's kind of what I
made the assumption, but
yeah, no, I was kind of checking into that world just to see if that's something I would enjoy. Cause I feel like I've got the right disposition, like the right personality for that. I'm very like patient and enjoy like one-on-one time. Yeah. When I'm in like a school setting and I see like a full classroom and how much energy it takes to like rally a group of kindergartners, I'm not sure that's me. I just don't know. I don't know. I'll be too soft likely I'll be too soft. So
just trample you.
Yeah. So I'm trying to figure out a more specific path where maybe it could be like smaller groups or one-on-one. So that was me exploring.
What age group were you thinking about? Or do you have one in mind?
Yeah, I'm like kindergarten, first grade.
Yeah.
In that area. So cute.
Little stinkers.
So sweet. Yeah.
All right, let's shift gears into some of your story. Like I remember coming to your house. I'm assuming you having Amelia was kind of the start of us hanging out.
Yeah.
I remember going over to you and Peter's old house a handful of times, but
it was, I recall it. I don't know like when we first hung out, but for sure my like strongest memory of you was when, Amelia was just like, she was really young, probably like a month old or something. And maybe Peter was out of town. I don't know what happened, but you came over and you held Amelia all night and you fed her a bottle and I slept and it was the most beautiful thing ever. It was so great.
oh, good.
I think you had Ava in a pack and play.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah, thank you.
You're welcome. That's really why I brought you on here, just so you could finally thank me for that.
Like you stayed the night?
I don't know. Did I stay the night?
I think you did.
I think so.
I think you did. It was very kind.
I don't remember how were their births, pregnancy in general, any like highs or lows during that experience, or was it pretty, what would you call it, like pretty average?
For Amelia, I felt like, I don't know, everything is so new and scary when you're like a first time mom. So there was a lot of planning and a lot of like thinking ahead, like, okay, what do I want? How do I want this birth experience to be? And it was like, I don't know, just building up this thing in my head. I used the midwives at Vanderbilt. And it was actually a really great experience. But I do remember like, once I was pregnant with Goldie, just being like, oh yeah, like that was way too much energy. That was so much, there was so much going on in my mind and so many expectations. And like, of course it went great, but like, I was like so against like an epidural. And I was like, well, I mean, I was not like rude about it to anybody else, but I was like, that's my thing. You know, that's just me. I was trying to, you know.
To each his own, but I've heard things.
So I just feel like I was so, I don't know, just dramatic.
Did you do both naturally?
I did do both naturally.
And were they both at the midwives?
I did one at Baby and Company.
That's where I had Penny in.
Yeah.
The old Outback Steakhouse. Yeah. On West End.
At the old Outback. Right next to Maggiano's.
Yep.
It's a little bit like fried here. Was Peter like a birth coach, or did you do like have a doula?
I had a doula. Yeah.
Cool.
The first time, like with Amelia, oh my gosh, he was like, he's like, he just can be very dramatic, and he gets like into the whole thing. It's like he loves the drama. So I just remember just being like, this is my time right now. And he was
not about you.
He was fine though, like, seriously. But I was happy to have a doula, and you know, my mom was there, and she's so sweet, but also nervous. You know, just being like, these contractions are coming awfully fast, like, you know, ready to like get me out the door.
Because were you the first of the 6 kids, or no? What grandchild was this for her?
Yeah, I was the first girl. So
okay.
yeah,
but different experience for sure. Yeah.
And aren't you the youngest?
The youngest girl.
Okay.
I've got a little brother.
Right.
But
Okay.
But yeah, so it was fun. It was a little wild, but the second one was obviously. I mean, you just
old hat.
You got the experience under your belt. You kind of know the role. You know what's going to happen, and I really love that because I got to do like the thing in the tub, and it was
both times the tub.
I like labored in the tub with Amelia, and then had to get out, which was like, why even labor in the tub if you have to get out and you're wet and cold? Like, it was the worst. That part actually was pretty terrible. I was like, wait, I have to get out now? And they're like,
wait,
yeah, you can't push in here. And I was like, oh, like
why am I in
like
here?
Mid contractions trying to climb out of like a large like soaking tub. So cold. So that, I forgot about that. But with Goldie, I was able to like push in the tub and stay, and it was great.
Nice.
Yeah. It's good times. We had Joy Shaw.
I don't know her, but I've heard her name a bajillion times. Yeah.
Yeah. She seems magical.
She is, excuse me. Joy, if you're listening.
You still got it.
Do you like that? So your age spread is pretty broad. Has that been cool? Was Amelia like receptive? How's that gone?
Yeah, it wasn't necessarily on purpose. It did take a while for us to get pregnant with Goldie, but I love it. I mean, you probably feel the same way. Like I got so much time with Amelia, like alone time. Mm-hmm. And by the time she was going off to kindergarten, I had Goldie, and I had like a pretty good amount of alone time with her too, except for COVID. And then Amelia was back. But yeah, I felt like old enough to kind of handle it, but also like a little bit like, yeah, I'm an only child.
Right.
Yeah. Like, who is this? But yeah, it was all right. It's good now for sure. She's very helpful, and most of the time they get along.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Oh man. She's finally getting old enough to like get it, like not fall into like stupid fights and like argue over things. I'm like, she's 5. Like you can't argue with a 5-year-old.
Right. What are you doing?
She's just now like realizing that. Right. Like I don't have to like take the bait every time.
Ava's still struggling to realize that. I'm like, why am I even having to invest in this conversation?
Yeah.
And like separate you two.
Right. Well, I mean, I don't want to like, there's definitely a lot of that, but sometimes she's like, oh yeah, I don't have to participate in this. Like I could just be like, okay,
okay, sure.
Like you're right, you know.
Yeah, just play along.
Like you don't need to be right about this. Like she's 5.
I've already said one of my biggest like parenting memories of my mom, as far as when it came to me and my brother, was us in the car, and she would always just be like, "Look out your windows." Like, don't look at each other. Just look out your windows. That was like the big, like if we kept like, I'm sure he was just always teasing me. And I've said that so many times.
Yeah.
I can't believe I'm having to say it to my kids who are almost 9 years apart. Like what is happening?
When it gets bad, I just put music on and I'm like, all right, I'm out. Like I am not listening anymore. I'm turning the music up. I can't help it. It's like bonding for them, I guess. I don't know what it is, but it'll all turn out fine.
Well, it's fun too, because there are moments where if I'm in it, as always, it depends what mood I am in. So if I'm in a good place, a lot of the times I can just find it funny. Mm-hmm. And honestly, I can kind of love it because I'm like, the kids are fighting. Like, I don't know, it just feels like a classic sibling,
like things are right in the world
argument, which in a way is kind of comforting. But if I am not in a good place, then no.
What is hard about what's like your biggest struggle right now with them, or with anything to do with motherhood?
Yeah.
If anything.
No, surely there are definitely hard things. Let's see. I feel like if you talked to me like a few years ago when Goldie was younger, the grind of it was very hard. But right now it is definitely more like about me. Like right. That's the hard part now, that like they're both in school. I'm like, oh, like, okay, there's time now to look at my own life and try to figure out what I want to do, and feeling pretty disconnected from who I was, and not like, I don't know, just feel like totally detached from that person. And there's like a part of me that is okay with some of that. Like I understand that like that's a lot of time that's passed and I would have been different anyways, but you can't like really like, you don't know how much of it was like motherhood and how much of it is just time. And like, I don't know. I'm definitely still trying to figure out.
Are you trying to find the balance of like, well, it's always been music. So do I bother looking elsewhere, or do I just stick with what it's always been? Or what if it's not? And what if I should allow space for new things? And then like it's also a little intimidating to stick with music because what does that mean? And do you have to find the new voice within that? And like just an overwhelming, like I know the category I like, but within that category, like the nuances of what that looks like is kind of paralyzing, I would imagine.
100%. Yeah. It's kind of like that was so much a part of my identity. But at the same time, I have a really hard time. What is that called again? The like imposter syndrome. Like even when I am clearly a musician who like has, I mean, I'm not successful, but like clearly I've been a musician since I was 15.
Right.
And like the minute I'm not doing something, like actively doing something, like I feel like that title is just gone. And like as soon as like I stepped into like motherhood, I was like, oh yeah, I'm well, mostly with Goldie. Amelia, there was still
a bridge,
yeah, but it's like the older I get and the further away from that time frame, I'm like, oh my god, like it's just I can't even claim it anymore. Right. And it's like this thing that's far off, like a luxury. So anyways,
how much of the teaching stuff is I really am interested in this, and what percentage of that is like, well, I got to look for something. I got to have a backup plan.
I know. Yeah. Like sometimes when I get, like when I start talking too much about it, I like realize that so much of it is just me
filling the space,
trying to fill the space and being like, what would a responsible person do right now?
Right.
Like what would, what would be a logical thing for me to do?
Yeah. That was my college experience. It was like, I was majoring in theater, and then when I transferred to UT, it was like, why would I major in theater at a top 10 football school? But I had no one to be like, that doesn't mean they don't have a great theater department. Like, just still do what you like. But what's the logical thing for me to get a degree in? Which I still didn't, but it was more logical than knowing another language seemed more logical than doing theater at the time.
Oh, well, that's fun that you know French, though.
Kinda.
Oui, oui.
Oui, oui.
So that sometimes when I do, especially like with other moms, they will 100% like find that pretty quickly. Maybe like, why are you being a teacher if you don't want to be a teacher? I'm like
not hiding it very well.
Yeah, no, not at all.
Hey, Sarah.
Hey, Joy.
Do you have trouble meal planning? Is that a struggle for you?
What?
What's that?
Huh? I do have this. Yeah, no. Yes, I do have that. I have that issue.
Me too. Especially there's like always a one night where we do Blue Apron, but there's always a couple nights a week where we don't have a meal planned. And it's usually a night where we're all trying to eat something together that is affordable and good quality food. And what's a really great solution for that we have for all of you listeners out there?
What?
Is Mr. Aaron's Goods.
Oh, yeah.
And we have an update about Mr. Aaron's, which is that instead of just walking in and picking up your food or getting it delivered, you can actually go in and dine there now. They have new hours. They're open Tuesday through Sunday. You can have fresh pasta, sauces, bagels, schmears, all the specialty goods. They're located at TKO in East Nashville. And they're open 9 a.m. to 2 p.m.
weekdays. And then on the weekends, 9 a.m. to noon or until they sell out.
Yeah.
You can also still order online. And if you do that, you can use code Momcult for 20% off your entire order.
Yeah.
Yeah. They're the best people.
Yeah. They're amazing. Give them your money and they will give you your sustenance.
Yeah. Wow, guys. So our card was full. You don't need to know why. It's a long story. It's whatever. But so we stopped recording. But I think that it was within like 2 minutes of us ending. And then we had a really interesting side conversation that you'll never know.
Sorry.
Yeah. But anyway.
Yeah, I can't remember if in the recording of what we got so far, if we kind of wrapped up just when you feel like you've had a lane, an identity your whole life and talking about you with music. And then, at some point as an adult or when that identity is kind of broken in some fashion and knowing like, do I seek something else now that I have all the options in front of me, or do I kind of go back to what I've always known and just finding that balance of like what feeds your soul the most in that particular time?
And it's like I know what I am comfortable with, and I know that music is it. But also in the past, it's always been with people. Like it's been with my family. And then I just got the call from Micah, and I just got, it was like handed to me. And right now I feel like what's required of me is like,
create your own opportunity.
Do you want it? It's the most terrifying thing ever. And it puts like, you just feel so exposed. And it's like, I just don't think I've ever really been in that position before. And it's always come really easy. And this is my time to like go get it if you want it. Like nobody's stopping you except for yourself. And then all of your other things that you have to do. But yeah.
Making the short film was my version of that.
Yeah.
So I'm still so close to those feelings of like, I feel lost, imposter syndrome, paralyzing fear, the pressure to figure out what my thing is and what I want my identity to be. Like once you become a mom and your identity is kind of broken a little bit, it is somewhat of not a luxury, but like, oh, I can piece myself back together as an adult in the way that I choose, not who and what has formed me up to this point.
Right.
But that is still like, that's a big question to answer, and that in itself is really scary and intimidating. And what made it easier for me was because I was a mom and because my time was somewhat limited, of just being like, okay, well, let me break it down into something way smaller, and what's something that just makes me really happy that I can kind of find little ways to do in the time that I have, even if it has nothing to do with what it actually ends up being. But like just coming up with a list of like 20 things that you love to do, and then just start incorporating those things in simple ways.
Right.
Baby steps.
Baby steps. Yes. Were you going to say something?
I was going to say, have y'all seen Night Bitch? Either of you? I mean, I've asked you, but I didn't know if you've done your homework yet.
No, but I'm having right now, because the thing I'm doing is motherhood related, and in a film type way, it's very hard for me to want to see anything else that anyone's doing, like, because it's something that's more talked about, and it will make me immediately go, people are already doing it. I just shouldn't do it.
I see.
And so I have to like repeat to myself, like, but this is your version, and that's the only thing that makes this unique in any way. Like, that's the point. But it's very hard for me not to want to just like totally shut down. And I don't want to hear what anyone else is doing with it or the jokes they're making about it. Because I'm going to be like, well, I had that joke too, but now I guess
Right. No, I mean,
it's okay. So don't talk
like
about
that. No, you can't. It's a problem that I need to. It's like when I wasn't doing theater, I didn't want to go see theater. I didn't want to be a part of anyone else doing those things that I secretly really, really wanted to do, because it's just a horrible feeling. But part of getting over that is immersing yourself in it, being happy for other people that are getting to do it, so that you
like
don't
Amy
get
Adams.
Just so you don't get hardened. I don't want to hate Amy Adams. But also, it's a totally different story.
It is completely. But the only reason I mentioned it, when it's like uncomfortable to watch, and I don't know if but the only reason I mentioned it is that it's exactly what you're talking about, the topic of like the circling back to who you are. And there are parts of it that I found very, very off-putting. But generally speaking, it's a worthy watch. Yeah.
Okay.
If you're like okay with feeling like it's uncomfortable sometimes, but also
is it
like
on
funny.
Netflix? Or what is it?
Hulu.
Hulu. Okay. All
Yeah.
right.
Oh, actually, it's on several things now.
Okay.
Yeah.
Good for her.
Yeah. But she's being very vulnerable, and then she's always beautiful, but she's making herself very vulnerable. I mean, she's really putting yourself out there. You look great though, if you hear this.
Well, there's also Alana
Glazer. Glazer?
Yeah.
Okay.
Who's that?
She's from Broad City.
Yes, Broad City. I could not think of the name of the show. She's now had a kid.
Oh.
It's like, so there's these women in our generation that are now having kids and that are comedians, and they're starting to Ali Wong did
Hold
it
up,
too.
hold
like,
up. Yeah.
And I'm like, no. I was doing this before you. I need to get my jokes out first.
Yeah.
Well, we're the generation that's making art now, and we're we're that. You know what I mean? Like everybody's making. I don't mean to.
Yeah.
That sounds dumb. Don't judge. Whatever. We're that generation that's the most public layer of art, probably.
Right.
And we're talking about things that people didn't talk about, and it's just so poignant.
I want to be the one making the jokes.
I get it. But it's just that you're on trend. Like you're just right on topic.
Right.
Yeah.
It's very
I
true.
think I just already feel so behind because the thing that I literally just did is about, almost 10 years ago that I finally am like putting out something that I experienced 10 years ago. So I already feel like, oh, you should have done this sooner. Like just, even in the good things, there's still, the imposter syndrome is still very much alive.
I don't know. Motherhood is just such a universal story that never that never goes out of fashion. Or I mean, it's going to be relevant whenever it comes out.
Have you seen Wicked?
I have seen Wicked. You guys, are
Ava's
y'all
seen it in the theater, I think 3 times.
You haven't seen it at all?
Yes. I saw it in the theater
Why do I
for the
not
first
think?
time.
Okay, sorry.
I took Amelia, and she loves it, and I love it. I mean, I love musicals. Love them.
I feel like I'm obsessed. I'm like not just the movie, but I like to claim it as I already talked about this, didn't I? Damn it, on Frank's. Yeah.
Oh.
No, wait. No, I didn't
think so.
We didn't talk about it at all.
Wait, no,
I'm
not
completely
I
wrong.
wanted to. I
Not
planned
one
to,
word.
but I didn't get to. But not at all. But I do talk about it constantly, so I can't remember when I've mentioned it and when I haven't. This is Pop Culture Corner, though, because I think you have to leave in like 5 minutes, right?
Oh,
I got 5 minutes.
sorry. It was a weird
Sorry, I just really left turned. I feel like. Did I? No. Oh no. Actually, that was.
I don't think so.
It made sense. Amy Adams in
But
the
also,
thing.
like, we're at all of this. We're all squeezing in a lot in a timely fashion. So I'm all about a hard pivot.
Yeah. Okay. Left turn.
That's my life. Hard pivots.
And I was into it when I was younger. I like to be like, I got here first. Just so everybody
You're feeling
knows,
that
and then just
about
jump
the
on
movie.
board.
Yeah.
But I and maybe I guess I'm saying for Amelia's sake, because I feel like maybe we're kindred spirits, but maybe not. I mean, I hope for her sake, no. But just, no. But she's somebody with big feelings. Is really all that I mean. Period. Like, that I think that Elphaba, or maybe this is obvious, but she's a girl with big feelings, and all she has to do is harness, which is a lot bigger, taller ask than it seems like, but harness them to have for their power to be infinite, really. Yeah. And I just cry the entire time, with that thought. Literally every time. I can't even think about it. Like I bought it on TV too, which is now still like $30. And I'm like, I've never done that. I'm like, what am I doing? But I just want to support.
You know that note at the end?
No, I forget. Oh, yeah.
Like, the girls do it all the time. Oh,
even thinking about it, I start crying. I'm like so obsessed with it. And also crying twice this is awful. This really is truly like I could never, we talk about filming this, and I guess I could film it. That might be good for me because it's just like my absolute peak nightmare.
As people watching you cry.
Yeah. To do that with people that I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah, or to just do that. I mean, I avoid feelings at all costs. Any sad song makes me cry. I can't listen to it. Any of it.
Man, I love it.
I know.
Give it to me. I love crying.
Me too.
Yeah.
It feels so good.
I think part of it too is that we've had a pretty big stint between recordings because of Christmas break. So I think also it's like our first recording back, and we've probably got a lot of pent up experiences and feelings that we're getting to talk about for the first time.
I thought yesterday in the middle of the day I need to cry. So
needed a good cry.
I didn't know when it was going to happen, but yeah.
Yeah, I've cried a lot this week. Man.
It happens a lot for me. I don't know. It's just I'll be walking around and just think of something and just be like, well, here I am crying on my own.
But Wicked specifically, I feel nothing.
I did not know where you were going to go.
Sorry, Sarah.
No, I didn't make it.
feel nothing.
I don't know what it like, and I know I get people are really freaking out about it, and I get that I'm not alone on some level with what I feel about it. But I mean, like I went with my niece and Parker, and I was crying so hard that the girl next to me, every song, and the girl next to me before the song, if any music started, she would just look at me like, here she goes. the lights came up and I'm just like still sobbing days.
Oh,
That's amazing.
Parker goes, Mom, and like we'll play it and then look at me. And he also has somehow learned that he shouldn't be like, because I'm always like, yeah, crying's fine. Just keep, whatever, like let your feelings out. And he, has learned to like wipe his tears really quickly, but it makes him cry too. Because he's the same.
Aww.
He's a boy with big feelings. So sweet. Yeah, he's sweet. It's awful.
It's awful for you.
Yeah.
You are not equipped.
I'm like, oh my God, you're like me and a boy, Christ. But not like me. Sorry, you're not. It's fine. He's fine. Okay, great. It's not bad to be like me.
Oh, it's great to be like you.
Okay.
Isaaca, thank you so much for being here.
You're welcome.
So good to see you. I'm so glad you're back on the east side.
Yes, me too. Me too.
You can follow Isaaca is it at Isaaca Bird or at Isaaca Groenwald?
It's actually or is this like
Instagram?
At Isaaca Joy.
Oh, ISAACAJOY.
Yeah.
And you can follow us at Momcult Podcast and listen at Momcult Podcast at themomcult.com and wherever you get your podcasts. Thank you so much for listening. Thanks for some of you crying, probably. Sorry. Okay, bye.
Bye.